Hello everyone. Today we are going to paint the Gundam Assemble RX-78-2 in a cell shaded anime color scheme. I have never tried this before. I hope it works. So yeah, let's jump into what I've got. I've set some paints aside already. There's something to know about doing this, okay? And the key thing is to pull off this look, you have to be really careful in making sure that the layers are really even. You don't want like any transparency because you want like solid, even colors. Okay, and then there's going to be like clear delineation between the lights and shadows. So I've got this for the body. He's already base coated in this pale gray blue. The anime color scheme, he tends to have this sort of greenish blue look to him all the time. So this will be my lights and this will be my shadows. This is not as green when you put it on as it appears in the bottle. It's more grayish. Then we have some colors for the yellow. So I will use these two for the yellow. I will use these two for the blues. And these two for the red. So good morning. Hello, Maverick. Hello, Doms. Alex. So yeah, this is the new, the Gundam Assemble miniatures, the one that came with the like preview ones that came with the card game. And then I'll add some highlights with white, but for now I just want to get, hi Katja. I just want to get the like lights and shadows down. I'm not doing any highlights yet. Later I'll add like highlights, and then we, instead of edge highlighting everything, we have to black line everything. So you can see on the palette that this is not as green. It's still pretty green. I might have to, I don't know, that feels super close to the colors that they show. So I'm going to go with this, and I'm just going to hope this works. But yeah, we need this to be like very solid because of the fact that the way this effect works is through like really strong delineation. Okay. So we need to focus on doing really tight layers. So like here, for example, I'm going to do the shadow of his little hip plate thing. All right. Basically all of this guy, everything on the underside of this is in shadow. All of this. So we're separating this into like planes of light and shadow, right? I hope that makes sense to everyone. You guys know what I mean when I say cell shading. I don't think I need to explain that to you. You guys have seen a cartoon before. So, right, so we're going to do something like this. Okay, so we can already start to see some of the shape coming through. We've got, now it gets a little more complicated with these curved plates. So things like this, we're going to split this one in half. So by splitting it in half, we kind of show that this is a curve. So it's like half of this plate would be in light and half of it would be in shadow. We start to create that effect. Yeah, you get it? Okay, basically the whole side of this. We can pretty much assume that like this whole side that faces downwards is going to be in shadow because he has this wide stance. So anything that is on this plane, right, is going to be shadowed. I think what's really going to be the key to making this sort of style work is the black lining at the end, you know? And not just black lining like, you know, like we would on normal figures where we're using it in like the recesses. I'm talking about we're going to black line the edge to make it look like a drawing. So hopefully when we finish this guy, he will look like a flat object. We want people to look at it and be like, whoa, what's going on with that? That's crazy. I thought it was a drawing. What do you guys think of this this style? Do you think it works? Do you think it's convincing? When you have you seen it before? Like, I've always wanted to try and give it a shot, but I never had the right figure for it, so. There's a couple parts that I know are going to require like going back and cleaning up and stuff, but I want to get it just like mostly blocked in. And this is also why so in case you guys didn't know how old animation cells were painted, they used jelly paints. I'm intentionally going to avoid using mixes here, because if I need to go back and repair anything, I want to make sure that it's like I have an exact color match, or else it could quickly like kind of ruin the effect if you have something that's not exact. So like here, we've got this sort of shape of his, what would be his like calf muscle. We're gonna create some shadow on one side of it to create that like rounded effect to it. And then we have to come around the back and kind of figure out a way to make this like work in 3D, you know? Usually don't know if this leg really, probably this whole leg can just be shadow. Okay, something like that. And then I'm trying to remember exactly what he looks like, but I know this part of his foot is white. He has a very simple color scheme, to be fair. Okay, something like that. I don't know what the inside here is supposed to be. If this is supposed to be gray or white, I'm going to assume it's supposed to be gray, because it's like his internals. All right, what else? What else? Of the whole bottom side of his arms. I'm actually going to let some of it creep up onto the top of his arm here. And I will use some of the like shoulder to create a little shadow there. This can kind of all be in shadow. This is, his shield is all over here, so I'm just going to darken this in because his shield goes on that arm. I haven't put it on, but gives you the idea. So this side now, we've got sort of this shape, right? So you could think of this as like a sphere, sort of spherical sort of shape. So we're going to take this and connect it like that. Have all this shadowed. And then the inside section here will all be shadow. This is actually kind of interesting here. So what I can do here, like I was saying, this is kind of a confusing shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this come down, like his leg is casting a shadow across this, which lets me connect it to this shadow. And then all this would be dark. In fact, the whole bottom of here would be in shadow. And then we can have it cut across like this. So that should work. What else? What else? Flapjack. Hello, thanks for the prime. Appreciate it. So here we can do the same thing with the shadow of this flap. Have that come down, get the shadow of the little, on the, whatever that thing. How's the model quality for this, guys? They're fine. I mean, they're not like super fancy. He's like 6 pieces. They're pretty simple in terms of, you know, shapes. So I think it is totally fine for what it is. Okay, we'll get a little bit of shadow on this side skirt. We'll do a little shadowing here of like his hand and wrist. I probably want some shadow on the side of his shoulder. Normally he would have, this would be like blacked out. So what I'm going to do is I am going to have this come up and over like this. So this is normally black, and I might even change it to black, just like freehand the black like gap in his shoulder armor there later. But pretty much all of this needs to be shadow. All right. I'm not done with the white, but I want to start adding some of the color to other parts just to see how I feel about it. So let's get some of the red. Let's get a little more. We're going to need it. Hello. So this section of his foot is in light, and then this back, that whole side section is going to be in shadow. This one, and this is all in light. We'll figure out what to do with his ankle thing here in a bit. Like he probably needs like a cast shadow under the ankle thing. What is this? All right, so the light on this side is here. And then this whole plane is light. Like that. And then his stomach armor is a little more difficult. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to do this lower section of his stomach in light, like this. Even though his arm might cast a shadow, I can add that in. So something like that. And then maybe have just this area. Be light. And I'll have to do the same over here, but I'll get to that in a bit. You could probably see where I need to like do another layer on some of this stuff because it's not perfect in terms of coverage. So this is what I mean by like you need to make sure that it's covered really well, or else it'll start to, you can see some areas look like really solid, like it's one solid block of color, and then other areas that it's slightly transparent and it's not as good. So I need to fix some of those parts. Josh, hello, welcome. Okay, let's take the gory red. Or just the dark red. Being careful. Like that. That might not be perfect. I might have to fix some of it, but it's close enough for the moment. And then this area is all going to be shadow. And then I can do a little cast shadow of his chest right here. I might have to create more separation in the red in the red shadows, but I think it's close to what I want. You might need a little bit more. All right, now let's do some of the blue. Okay, so for the blue, we've got the whole upper chest basically. Anybody else excited for these? Or is it just me? Am I the only one who's like, heck yeah, some Gundam miniatures? I picked up a Char Zaku at Gen Con. Would have loved one more like this one you've got, but they only had Zakus. Zakus are cool though. Okay. So there's the upper chest. Might how do I want to do this? Let's just see how it looks. I'd be very excited for miniature Avas. Yeah, I'm not so sure that would be the type of miniatures they'd be like, let's make a miniatures board game for Ava. Getting the Ava, Shinji. Roll to yell at Shinji to get in the robot. So I'm going to start, I'm going to paint the whole cockpit like a dark color. If I want, I can go back and add some like squares of light, even though in my reference, there's no light on the cockpit doors here. But if I feel like I need to, I can always come back and cheat some light into there. Just to create some shape that I'm looking for. Probably shouldn't even be doing that because I need to paint the vents, but yeah, I think that green gray totally works now. Like seeing it with the other colors, I think this gray is definitely working with the color palette here. What's really going to make this work or not is going to, like I said, the black lining is what's going to sell the effect. I need to paint his neck, and according to the anime, his neck is also white, even though I'm pretty sure all the model kits, his neck is gray, but like dark gray. But we're going to paint it white because that's how they did it in the anime. And we're being faithful here. I have to paint the shadow of the V-fin also, but I'll get to that in a second. He also has a white V-fin, unlike many of the later Gundams who have yellow V-fins. His is white. So here we can paint a little shadow where his V-fin would be. The big three with rating with a party of 44. Hola, tíos. ¿Qué tal? ¿Todo bien? Hola a todos. How is everyone? Gambaral, thank you for the follow. Bienvenidos. Estoy pintando una nueva figura de Gundam Assemble en el estilo de anime. Anime? I don't know how you say that in Spanish. Vladimir, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. The big three, thanks for following. How was your stream? ¿Cómo fue la transmisión? So here we can grab a little bit of this pale gray blue in order to repair some areas that I may have accidentally touched. Like here, for example. All right, what else do we need? We need yellow. For his, whatever these things are. You know, those things. Did you guys know that Gundams were based on samurai suits of armor? And the original Gundam was actually a much different color scheme than this, but they wanted it to appeal more to children, so they changed it to a red, blue, and yellow color scheme in order to be more appealing. Mirror Mortal, thanks for the Prime. This is why the V-fin is called a kabuto, because it's like the big crown thing on the top of a samurai helmet. And he has very similar with the skirts and everything is reminiscent of samurai armor. I'm a big Gundam nerd. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're painting this guy. They're slightly different scales. Pew, 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 pew. Would I ever hand paint a full-size kit? Hell no. This is a master grid. I would airbrush a full-size kit. That was a master grid. I would airbrush a full-size kit, but you're not catching me hand painting a full-size kit. No, that's not happening. So I'm going to use the orange here. It's really dependent on the... It seems like in the anime they tend to use orange. If I was going for a more realistic look, I would probably use like a more brownish color. But in the anime, they tend to use an orange to shadow the yellow. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stick to the same plan. What is your opinion about these minis? I paint minis and I've been building Gunpla for years. Should I buy a set? I mean, they're cool. I'd give them a shot. See what you think. They're very simple to build. Like, this guy was like 6 pieces or something. 7 pieces maybe. It was like his head, his back, his body, and one leg, then like the other part of his body and another leg. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then his shield. So 6 total pieces, yeah. I have one here if you want to see the sprue. That's the sprue for the gun tank. 6 parts. And then the gun cannon, who's laying down, which is one of, I think, the funniest poses. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts for him. The rock is a part. Might have to switch to a different yellow and then go back over top of this, because I don't know if this is, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get the coverage I want from this yellow. So I might have to switch and then repaint with this yellow. Oops. How are the mold lines? There was a few, but they weren't bad. They weren't bad at all. No, I just got this one set. Made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. It's fine. Cámara, tú puedes preguntar en español si quieres. Y puedo responder en inglés o en español. What other languages do you speak, Eric? Just that. Just English and miniature Spanish. I say miniature Spanish because 90% of my vocabulary is related to painting. Turns out when all your Spanish friends are the only people you talk to in Spanish only talk about miniatures, most of your vocabulary is also about miniatures. Hooper triplet. Thank you. Gunpla World Cup on now 2. If anyone is into the kits, you get a pin for entering. I know a Canadian guy did really well last year. And winners get flown to Japan. Yep. I think in a minute I'm gonna like switch focus to one particular part so we can start trying out the black lining. See if I can, how that's working. So maybe I'll work more on just this leg. So in the meantime, I'm gonna try and get this area nice and cleaned up. To see what I think about the effect overall. We need a gray. We need two grays actually. We need a light gray and a dark gray. I think we'll go with, we want a kind of neutral gray tone. Nothing too color, like we don't want like a blue gray or anything. So I think I'll go with like a neutral gray, or maybe let's see, I think I have a neutral gray up here. So this could work for our light color. No, that's Stonewall, that's too light. Like I said, normally I just mix, but because I want, if I have to go back over it, I have to get like, I want that perfect color match. So I want to avoid accidentally like mismatching the color if able. So I think we'll go with like a basalt gray. And then maybe like a neutral, some kind of neutral gray. I think maybe that Stonewall is definitely too light. I think this might be too close in value. Where's my game color neutral gray? What did I do with it? Is this it? Yeah, these two might work. This does feel slightly light though, for how dark they normally do it, so. Even that, maybe I need like German gray or something. Or we can just go slightly lighter, that's fine. Yeah, this feels like the color that should be the light on the grays. Yes, the Canadian guy who, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, did the one with, yeah, the like hollow effects. So something like that. And yeah, I would like a really dark gray. Like a near black. I don't know if I have one exactly. Let's see what's in here. I have a German gray. Hi, Mose. I don't tend to paint with this. I don't paint like this normally, so let's put that there. Yes, German. What I want to do is I want to get lower into the bottle. There we go. Because that is not super mixed up. See, it's, yeah, when we start to spread it out, there we go. Ryan Lau, did he win or did he get like, I think he got like, was it third? Last year? Pretty cool either way. Huh, they don't show his... The original anime design does not even have these parts, so... That, like, internal cuff doesn't exist. But I painted it white on the master grade, so I'm going to say it's white. This is all part of the shield. Or all hidden by the shield, I mean. Hi, T. Schmidt. T. Schmid. Hello. It's going well. We're painting a Gundam. Life couldn't be better. I'm going to go with this as gray. Just to create some separation here. Thanks, Sinjin. Is it a gunpla if it's tiny still? I guess so. It is still a Gundam, and it is plastic, so it is a gunpla. A little thinner. How do you usually handle lead hair on new brushes? No such thing. I don't know where the lead hair thing comes from. You're talking about sometimes brushes have the little pointy hair at the end? What is a lead hair? Yeah, it's not a thing. Just cut them. Just cut it off if it's bothering you. Just take a razor and slice that Sometimes brushes will have like a central hair that's kind of long. The back of his... Yes, it's white. Okay. I was like, what color is the back of his foot? It is, in fact, white. Are those yellow? Yep. Yeah, these things on the back are yellow. I know his backpack is gray. However, the beam sabers are not. The beam sabers, the actual beam sabers are white. And then we'll do the sides. Might want to just paint the back blue first. Just go ahead and get this blue. And then this whole section will be red. Oh no, I made a mess. We'll do those parts in a dark red, but my LGS doesn't have any of these figs. I wanted to paint the Toggies. My roommate found these at the Hobby Town. They had the card game and the actual like the game is not out yet, like the miniatures game, but they've like pre-released some of the figures in the card game. And as far as I know, there's only 2 sets at the moment. There's this one that comes with the gun cannon and the Gundam, the gun cannon, and the gun tank. And then there is a set with there's a set with the, what's it called? The Zaku's. There are 4? Oh. There's also the wings. There's a wing and a seed set too. Oh, okay. So, I don't know. My bad. So I guess the Toggies comes in the wing set? With what? Wing Gundam and what else? think it's part of Leos. Ugh. Ew. Gross. Who wants a Leos? See that? Of course it has 2 strikes. Why wouldn't it? It's very difficult to get down into some of these areas. Are these models one piece? No, the 6. He was 6 pieces. 6 total pieces. He has a shield also, I left off. And they're also snapped together. Though I glued mine. So here I'm doing like a little shadow of the cockpit. And then all of this back here needs to just be dark red. Dark red actually is going to take an extra layer. Lincoln Park Bomb. Hello. Heck yeah, Gundams. Tiny little Gundams. Then we'll get the inside of his shoulders. Yeah, cleanup is definitely going to be a thing on these guys. How are the sculpts? I would say pretty good. I mean, it's nothing like overly fancy. If you're looking for like real grade, you know, like level of detail, it ain't that. But I would say that for a like close to anime style of of quality, that they're really good. Like here, I'm just going to go ahead and redo this section. So yeah, I'm going to have to go back over some parts because I want to get some nice, like really dark areas. Like back here, I might as well just make this dark gray. Basically treating this like a black lining. All right, so in fact, I think we can just use this to black line majority of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around, start to paint some of the black lining on these pieces. So we want to create really nice separation between all of these parts. This is like the heavy line work that you see in the anime. So like that. All right, we want to separate all these armor panels. Even here, I think I'm going to go ahead and just darken this stuff in. Like, why not just make this dark? So we're creating like the black line work that you would see on these. On the animation cells. This is where the sculpts don't quite nail it because of the way they're made. Like, you're never going to get like a perfect little flap here without it being a separate part. So we have to sometimes cheat this a little bit. So we create a shadow there. Black line this. We're going to come back and like thin this stuff out. Come in. Paint that in. There we go. Okay. So one thing also for cell shaded cartoons was a small shadow of the cell foil. It had a thin gray line, like the lamp is just looking at it from the front, giving it a stacked look on the black lines. Huh. I don't quite understand. Here, right, we're going to outline this. What am I going to miss? Something like that. I've got to come back and thin these out with the base layers. But it gives us the start of it, right? Okay, so let's take and clean this lines up a little bit. Right, so I'm coming back with that light gray color. This is also one reason I chose not to do this pure white. Who's that? Serena's Arena. Hello. Didn't quite nail that line. There we go. All right, so let me take this guy and get some of this skirt just right. Hi. Come back and clean this stuff up. Don't want to mess around with this too much because I still gotta do the black lining on the inside of the red. Okay. Now let's think. What else do I have to do real quick before I kind of mess around with this other piece? I'm going to dark line this a little bit better. We're going to clean up this line. All right, so what else to do on this, right? So we're not quite, the leg is not quite there yet. Another major aspect, depending on the animation, like more modern animation will often do highlights, like proper bright shines. They'll make it look really shiny. The original anime didn't do it, but I'm going to add them because I think they'll look cool. So I'm going to take a pure white now. And I'm going to pick a few areas to create like little specular reflections. And the way I've seen this done, I'm basing this purely off of kind of how I've seen others do it, is they tend to do it towards the edge like this. So we'll do this little trick like that. I don't even know how much you can see that, but it's like this little shine in the corner, or like on the edge, like on the leg here. There's this little plane right here. That we can create an extra little bit of shine to. We'll create like a little specular shine to the armor using an actual white. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And then like on the knee here, we'll do the same thing where we've got this plane. Right. And then we can kind of join those two Maybe do something like this. And then we want to taper that down. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just basing this off of what I've seen. What do you guys think? Is it working? So it's starting to look like a cartoon, maybe. We're still missing the big final step. You guys know the big finale to make this effect really work? It's really counterintuitive, honestly. No, no one knows. What are we missing, guys? What's the big thing that makes animation look like animation? mean, besides movement, but like cell shading. Hey, dude, we got a black line. We got paint black edges around things, which is really weird. Reverse edge highlights. It's very bizarre to paint like this, but this goes against everything I've learned. Does look pretty cool though. I think this is definitely another one of those cases where I'm going to have to like go back and clean it up. Also, I think these are... I want to adjust this shape. Not really. That's very bizarre. No, not bizarre like an adventure. I'm not talking about JoJo. That's a different anime. Hmm. Would Gundam markers, aka fine tip markers, be useful? I mean, if you're used to them, maybe. For me, it's just easier to do it with a brush and then come back and make them, clean them up to make them super thin. Like if this one's too wide for my taste, I can just make it thinner. Because I want it to look like a... I don't mind some of the shadow, like the recessed lining being a little heavier because line weight is also a typical thing in anime. Or manga or whichever. Probably more manga than anime. I think line weight is probably utilized more, but we could do the same thing here where we get those black lines really thin. And we can come back with the white if we want to shrink this one. I don't know. I think that looks pretty cool. I think it's starting to work. Stop moving. Does your roommate repaint his Gundams? Look at this. Look right here. I'm gonna take this. My roommate painted this. He's still got to do decals, but he is working on that right now. Well, not literally right now, but you know, at the, that's his current project. I think that'll work. I'll add those a little bit. This does feel really dark blue, but I think with the black lining and stuff, it's gonna function, and then I gotta add highlights and whatnot. So let's see. We need the black line here. Need the black line on both sides to make it really read correctly. Like that. So now you get that, like, when you get the right angle. Let me do the back of the leg too. So the idea right? It's not perfect, I'll clean it up, but the idea is that when you get like an angle like that, you get that black line on both sides. So you get this like border of black, and it looks hand drawn. Which is pretty neat. Pretty cool. Hey, that's pretty cool. Obviously, I'm no expert at this, but I think I've understood the principle. And I think some areas like this, you could actually create a little border around the black line. It'll make the black line stand out more and create another kind of effect, right? See what I did there? So like maybe here, right? Because this is not perfect, right? It's not like a perfectly hard edge. There's like a little bevel there. We could do something like that, where you sort of combine the concept of an edge highlight. Amuro would steal the hell out of this Gundam. So you get something like this, right? And then I can take this over here and I could extend this up like this, right? To create a little more dimension on that side. So you create another little effect there. Wow. Wow. Barca has followed. Hello, welcome. What do you guys think? Kind of works. Kind of looks like a. Gotta get him off the bat. No cast no shadows so that he really starts to get that drawn effect. It's like just don't move, because the second you move, that's when you can tell it's not a drawing. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back, and we will continue on this experiment of painting anime style. BRB. Hello, I'm back. Welcome back to Painting Gundams with Eric. So today we're painting a cute little RX-78-2. Everyone enjoys a little Gundam, you know? Hey Bandai, send me some figures. All right, a little bit of a mess there, but that's all right. We gotta, all this is about cleaning up, you know? The annoying thing here is really this is a lot about just patience and painting thin little lines, you know? Not the most exhilarating paint job, but it actually kind of reminds me of the heavy metal approach in a way of like, you've got to be just like super precise. There is no shortcut here. You can see these lines are like way too black, you know. I think I need some other yellow in order to give up something with a slightly more coverage. And then I can go back and apply the other yellow on top. But this yellow has more white in it, so we'll cover up some of my mistakes, my oopsies. No, not happy mistakes, just straight up mistakes. Just straight up, whoops, I painted a line too thick. Hey, mistakes happen. You know, just got to get back on that horse. All right, let's see what we can do with this one. I think this will also be close to what we want for a highlight color for the yellow. Or maybe we just want to use this yellow as the actual light color and then add some white for a highlight. There is a Gundam horse, though. Just wait until the G Gundam assemble set. Can't wait for that horse Gundam, dude. You guys don't even know about that. No, there's not a Matador. There's a mariachi. The mariachi Gundam. And a windmill. I don't remember a Matador. But maybe one of the G Gundam experts can answer that one. Are you talking smack about G Gundams? Of course there is. G Gundam is the weirdest series. Hooper triplet. No. If I was going to paint something bigger than this, it would be a master grade. Because master grade is the best scale. Master grade is not the highest. Perfect grade is the highest. But there's only like 10 or maybe max 20 perfect grades at this point. I have a Gundam Mark V, but I really don't think it would be interesting to watch. But like, all right, guys, watch me paint 200 pieces with the airbrush of the same color. People who do this on a whole master grade, they got some next level patience. Shout out to them. I'm good. I don't think I'd want to do that. This is fun. I enjoy this. I could do this on a whole figure. On, like, okay, let's compare real quick. This is this guy. This is the Banshee's shield. It doesn't even fit on there. I have to turn it diagonally to fit on camera. I'd like this kind of kit. Painted up with traditional style you do, Eric, not toy like, but realistically. Any interest in doing that? No. Not really. If I wanted to paint like realistic stuff, I would just paint, something else. to be honest. All right, now I'm going to go back over top of this with the slightly more yellowish tone. Luckily, this is like pretty transparent, so it's not going to really mess with the black. How big are Gundams in relation to Veritechs? Gundams are 20 meters tall. A Veritech is the size of like an F-14, so huge, like way bigger, like double the size probably of a Veritech. Can I ask how the plastic feels compared to GW? It feels like plastic to me. It's basically the same. It's just injection molded plastic. All right, so for the yellow highlight here, I'm going to take some of the white and the yellow and just get like this guy. And we'll create a little shiny part there. Richard, you trying to get banned today? You trying to get timed out? What is the best Gundam anime? Someone, Craig, look at this. That's actually hard. Because I think it's really dependent on like how into Gundam you are. I could definitely see somebody watching one of them and being like, I don't get it. Like, why would you enjoy this? If I had to recommend you watch one of them, like with no prior like interest in Gundam, I would recommend watching 8th MS Team. I don't think it's the best series, but I think it's definitely the most accessible. Charge Counterattack, you kind of need to know about the characters before watching that movie. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anyone just go like watch Charge Counterattack. paintbrush being annoying. Other than that, let's see, if I was recommending UC stuff, watch the original Gundam movies if you don't mind like old animation. They took the whole series and cut it down because the original series is pretty long and can be a little cheesy. So that's one I would recommend. Like, yeah, maybe watch the abridged movies. I've seen most everything from UC, which is the main timeline. So like Gundam Wing is not part of the same timeline as this. UC stands for Universal Century. And I think my favorite series is probably Zeta. But again, kind of old. You got to be able to look past some of that older animation style. I think Zeta's great. Get to watch Bright Noah punch some kids, you know? Just slap some kids around. Oh, he loves it, yeah. The man is a big fan of child abuse. And no one is going to understand the context of that. You guys have to understand that the like most animes, the main protagonist is a 14-year-old. And one of the other main characters, the ship captain, Bright Noah, is like, time to grow up. You're in a war now. I'm going to slap this kid around. Grow up. You know, as you do. Yeah, it's an anime trope. It's super anime tropey of really young protagonists. Like, isn't Cloud in Final Fantasy VII supposed to be like 17? Wikipedia says 21. It seems older than I thought. But old enough to be in the military. Yeah, dude, we painting Gundams over here. Who? Jotaro Kujo? Who's that? Is that from JoJo? Yeah, I think I'd struggle actually to name an anime or video game where the protagonist isn't a minor. Man, I knew a kid who was 6'5" and 250 pounds in high school at 17 years old. He went on to become a Division I linebacker. Kid bench pressed 400 pounds. Nah, anime. Video games, you can definitely name plenty. Well, you got one. Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, that's true. Now, come to find out, Lupin from Lupin the Third is like Trigun doesn't count. He's a plant. Okay. I think this is going all right. I think it's looking pretty cool. It is a bit time consuming. Have you done a cell shaded effect before? No, never. This is my first time trying it. What do you think? Does it look okay? Is Saitama? Yeah, I guess was a businessman and stuff. All right, yeah, you got one. Painting the tiny little V. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I definitely wouldn't want to do this on a full figure, on like a high grade or something. It would take freaking forever. I guess you'd have the advantage of like being able to take it apart and stuff, which, would save some time, but it would still be really slow. Dang it. Dang it. It just mask and airbrush the line. Easy. It's crazy how different just adding like the lining does, you know? I've always kind of wondered how these work in hand, you know, like seeing, because I've seen them on Instagram and stuff, like how this effect works in hand. And honestly, I'm pretty into it. I think it works pretty good. It is more effective than I thought it would be. Hello, just Daggy, and I think I missed Zero Laguna, which I'm sorry, but hello, welcome. I feel like it's important to look at it, you know, back a little ways. This would be cool to have a board game of ones looking like this. This would be pretty neat. Oh, the sound effects totally, you know, or what does it. It is a mini for a mini game. The game just hasn't come out yet. It's next year. These are like pre-release. Like preview minis that they released with a card game. So I think if I was going to repaint this, I would have simplified this shape. I think I would have like just sanded that flat like the animated version. I think I also want to come in and draw the trim for this, because this thing is not like that thick. It goes like this. So I'm just going to draw the hole. All right, just punching in some of these white highlights again. Because I like them and I think they look cool. They make him shiny looking. I've seen people do this thing. I'm going to try it. So they do like a second highlight kind of thing, like this. Yeah, okay. I mean, that kind of works. Yeah, I think that like sells that shine effect. Anime gloss. Ting. Like Jesse from Pokemon shooting off into space. That sound effect. Hmm. Okay. All right, what else? Where else does he need some anime gloss? Oh, he needs a shadow. I just noticed this one. So he needs a shadow under his little skirt, his ankle guard thing. Yeah. Yeah. I think this could definitely teach you how to kind of think about cast shadows and stuff. I think it would be good practice for kind of plotting them out and whatnot. So yeah, this probably needs a shadow too. So if the light's coming in straight from above, it should probably cut down like that somehow. And it is curved, so I'm going to give it like a little S curve. Just to like sell that S curve shape of that kind of curvature of the leg there. You guys want to paint? You want me to teach this at Adepticon? I'm going to become an expert on one model, and I'll teach painting cell shading at Adepticon. Nobody would want to take that. Bum, 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 bum. I think this should actually be shadowed too, just to make it match the other knee. Is the seafoam green going to be a reflection off of ice? No. This is just how they did his shadow gray, like back in the day. He, like in the anime. If you look up modern depictions of him, he's much more grayish. But if you look at... Here, I'll send you guys... open... image... in the new tab. Yeah, it's just 1970s green gray. Like, there's the picture of him back in the day. They just use this sort of greenish tone to shade him. Don't know why, but that's what they did. I might end up changing his neck to gray just because I think it would make his head stand out better. Even though the artwork depicts otherwise. But sometimes we make choices based off of what will look cool. Yeah, I like that better. Makes his head stand out more. And they never really depict him with the white neck anymore, I don't think. He's always got a gray neck. That's also very true, Lex. that these old animations, like, they really are off model a lot. Like, oh yeah. Like sometimes he's got white, like, yeah, they'll just randomly pick and choose when they want to do stuff. Yes, it's hilarious. What is his name? He makes a bunch of tools also. For like Gundam building. But yeah, he does the like funny scenes where they're drawn with like really bad proportions, or it's like an action pose. And then he makes a 3D model of it. Pretty funny. Ray Studio, that's right. Boom, 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 boom. What else do I need to do? What else do I feel like doing for the stream? Because we've been going for about 3 hours. Is there anything I need to still talk about, or do I need to just sit here and crank on at this and try and get through something that looks halfway decent? Yes, Feedback Friday is this week. Yup. What time? I think in the evening this week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I think I need to adjust this shape right here. Yes, this model has a shield. I just left it off because it would block off a lot of his body. And it just snaps in. Like there's a little square peg that it just goes, just snaps together. So. Nice and easy. I mean, you could choose to leave the head off if you want. You could just chop it off and put a neck there. They should have given him the blown up neck also. That would have been good. And just have him doing the vertical pose. Just they gotta save that though. They'll make that like a exclusive or something. I mean, I gotta imagine it's cheaper to replace shields than mobile suits. Especially Amuro's, it's just a block. They started to get a little fancier later. Feel like I have this slightly off. Just that line there. Stuff. Thank you, Duffy. I've painted Gundam before. That's how I started this whole thing. This is before I painted. I painted this before I ever painted a Space Marine. This thing's like 20 years old. I think this is a little too dark of a blue. I'm going to try and just bring it up just a little bit. Yeah, I think it should be, well, I hope the actual game is fun. That would be nice. If the game is fun, that'll definitely inspire me to want to paint the minis more. No, there's gonna be. That's not the game though. So the minis that were at Gen Con, right, came with the card game. The card game and the actual miniatures game, these were just like the miniatures that came with the card game were just like previews. So I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows how the actual like minis game is gonna play. Yeah, it's a separate two separate games. It's pretty confusing that they did that, but they were trying to promote the new card game at the same time, so did you know that in terms of lists of franchises, Gundam is one of the biggest in the world? Only I think like Pokemon and Harry Potter might be bigger. Hi, Monument. Gundam has been going kind of forever in media terms. Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. Like Gundam is actually gigantic in terms of like the IP. Yeah, I mean, still number 15 in the world of all time biggest intellectual properties is pretty crazy. What's also nuts is that Pokemon is not that old and it has surpassed everything. Like, suck it, Star Wars. Pokemon beat you. Next level painting with the raid. Hello, how are you? How's it going? What were you up to? What were you doing? Welcome in, raiders. Yeah, it's Gundam's ahead of Batman, which, okay, Gundam is from 1979, but Gundam's ahead of Batman, which has been around since what? Like the 40s or 50s? Same duff. Same. I don't like this, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to alter the sculpt. Pray I don't alter it any further. But I'm going to cut his leg there because I think his knee is too big the way they sculpted it. Which I understand why they sculpted it that way, but I'm going to change it. $1939. Yeah. So Pokemon is like 25 years old and is the biggest franchise in the world. Hello. Nightbot. Nightbot is blocking. I'm gonna just ignore that. Whatever. I don't know why it's doing that. Nightbot's new. I installed it recently, and I haven't messed with all the settings. But how is everyone? Good. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. I'm having a fun little time with my little robot here. My little robot friend. Nope, but I can put in keywords. Yeah, you could just use the Tamiya stuff. Tamiya cement works fine. That's what I used. You don't even really have to. They just snap together. Obviously, like if you want them to stay together, I would probably recommend gluing them, but he was holding pretty tight together without glue, so. I glue parts of my Gundams together. No, you can still pose them. You can, I don't ruin the posing, but there's definitely stuff that's like not supposed to move. Like, yeah, you know what? I don't need to take his V-fin off. I understand it can snap together. Or I can glue it and never have to worry about it coming off and losing it. Oh, now I understand. Now I understand now in the context of the SpongeBob meme. Thank you for the SpongeBob text. Yeah, this meme. But the posing. We could do the same thing for the mini painting subreddit. But airbrush is cheating. You didn't know, Kasparov? Yeah, airbrush is cheating. If you use an airbrush, you're cheating. Yeah, I like that. It helps just, add the black in there. It helps give that depth. Yeah, so is digital sculpting. Digital sculpting is also cheating. Yeah, it makes it looks cool actually. I'm having fun with this. Dude, don't try and logic out. Don't try and use logic on Reddit, all right? I guess he needs to pew pew actually, because this is a beam rifle. Now, actually, they put like the little details on top. I think I would have preferred it just to have the sharp lines, but that's okay. Bandai, can you hear me? Send me some more Gundams. What is the most overrated Gundam? Like series or actual mobile suit? Because series is easy. That's Wing by far. And actual mobile suit, probably also Wing. Nah, the Strike, actually. All the Strikes suck. They all look the same. I don't like that series. All the designs are identical. I'm gonna go with I'm changing my answer. Seed is the worst. All the characters look the same. I literally can't tell them apart. All the mobile suits look the same. Also can't tell them apart. No, that's just incorrect. Stuff. The series, maybe. I still think Zeta's better, but and the unicorn is cool, but it's not the best. Yeah, you know why the suits are cool? Because most of them are just riffs of the Zeta suits. Because the Zeta suits are the coolest. Other than the actual Unicorn Gundam. Most of the suits in like the Delta Plus is just the Hayakushiki. Which series had Tequila Gundam? It's G. That's the one with the God Gundam, which they call the Shining Gundam, I think. I can never remember. What his American name is. Unicorn Gundam kits hits on over design. It can be a little. Actually, I think if I was to pick one mobile suit as like the best designed mobile suit in the entire franchise, not my favorite, but the one I think is maybe the coolest looking, Probably the double Zeta. For blacklining, or am I using a different brush? It's just a size 0. It lets me get into some of these nooks and crannies. Double Zeta is the most underrated Gundam. Put some respect on the double Zeta. Oh, the first half is bad. But I'm talking about just the actual suit design. So I needed to add just a little bit of that yellow to the red just to give it a little more punch and separate it from the shadow red. Just wasn't quite doing it for me before, so bump it up a notch. Bam. Hey, this is not an anime. Animation eye. Da 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 da. Animation eye. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, just in case you were curious whether I actually knew my Gundam or not. There you go. There's the theme song to Gundam Double Zeta. It's not an anime. Probably. I mean, this is longer, like it's pretty long and skinny, but Gundam. All right. I think that might be enough to give you guys the idea, huh? Did I successfully convey the anime technique. Here, let's do this real fast, just for fun. Let's add some highlight to the blue. Punch it up. So like, if we wanted to do a highlight on his chest, where would it go? Let me look at the reference photo. It's all pretty bright, but maybe something like this. And then have it come down here like this. And then maybe on this piece it kind of does like this thing. Anybody gonna give it a shot? Anybody else gonna try the look? What? All right, cool. So we'll try and finish that up. And then when I posted on Instagram, you guys have to go, oh, I thought it was a drawing. All right, let's stop the recording on